Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Night Sky This Week. I'm your host, Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy. Thanks so much for joining me. This is the week of March 20th. We're talking about, of course, what you can see stargazing-wise. If you've got some clear skies, maybe sometime this week, you'll get to see some really cool stuff heading our way thanks to one of my favorite objects, the moon, pointing the way to some really cool things. Did you get to do any stargazing this past weekend? I'd love to hear from you. Put it into the comments section. I love to see where you're broadcasting from too. I am in Montreal, Canada. This is what my sky looks like just outside my window. This is a camera I've got set up there. You can see I live in a forested kind of area with some good spots to do some sky watching. As you can see, there are clouds coming by here and there. Not necessarily the best right now. I'm hoping to get some clear skies later this week, but really it's a hit and miss this time of the year. When we headed in March and April, we're in spring time officially here in the Northern Hemisphere. This is what the skies tend to be like. It's just above freezing. And we're heading into what my favorite time of stargazing really is April, before the black flies and the mosquitoes come in, which are really rampant in this part of the world in the springtime. Just before all of those nasty bugs come our way, the skies are exceptionally clear for deep sky stargazing. And I'm going to be talking a lot about, over the course of the next few weeks and months, about deep sky watching, observing. These are objects that are beyond the solar system. And this time of the year, we have a window out of our Milky Way galaxy. Like, you can really think of it as like curtains are pulled back and we get a clear view without the clutter of the stars in our Milky Way, to look beyond our Milky Way galaxy, to actually look at the realm of what we call the realm of galaxies amongst sky watchers. We can actually see other galaxies like the Milky Way. So in the course of the next few weeks and months, stay tuned, because I'll be talking much more about galaxy hunting, which is one of my favorite things to do with my telescope, is to find other kind of islands of stars that are out there. So lots of really cool stuff. So why don't we dive in right now of what we can see in the skies this week. Here I've got the sky set up for just after sunset. This is looking towards the west. This is our planetarium software, my favorite Sky Safari that I use. And a big shout out to folks at Sky Safari for this beautiful, beautiful markup. This is the view of the two brightest planets that we can see looking out towards the west. So maybe about 20 minutes to maybe like 40 minutes after sunset. You got clear at any time this week. Look at that. You've got that super bright star pinning down the west, and underneath that is another fainter dot, star. But these are not stars. They're actually our neighboring worlds. Venus, the powerhouse of all planets in terms of its brightness, still very evident. These are naked eye objects, folks. These are things that you can see without any optical aid. Now, Jupiter, also a powerhouse in terms of visibility to the naked eye, is starting to wink out from our west evening skies in the west. So it's bowing out. It will be entering later into the in a few weeks and months. It will be a more early morning object as it's getting closer to what we call conjunction with the sun, entering the realm of sunlight, the glare of the sunset. It's going to be lost. So I suggest maybe using a pair of binoculars, for instance. That would be really cool to be able to pick out Jupiter in that glare of the sunset. Venus is still a very easy object. It's rising above, going farther away from the sun, kind of retreating from the sunlight, making it an easier target. It can't go too far. Remember, Venus is the second planet from the sun. So if I just magically kind of look at where these planets are in relation to each other in an orbital view, so if we kind of magically move out and look at the orbital view of our sister planet, Venus, this is what we'd see. Look at that. If we're going to go above the plane of the solar system, you can see all these lines that you're seeing on your screen are representing the different orbits, pathways of the different planets. And there's Venus. You can see where Venus is. Now if we could just move out a little bit further, you'll see where Earth is. There's Earth. You can see below the blue little dot there. There's the sun at the center. There's Venus, and there's Jupiter. So imagine being on Earth, right? We're on Earth looking up at the sky, and I just showed you that both Venus and Jupiter are in the west, very close to the sun, right? After the sunset. So look, from our point of view, there's the sun, there's Venus, there's Jupiter. You can see from our line of sight, both planets are fairly close to each other in the sky, and also close to, both of them as a pair are close to the sun, right? And look at Venus's orbit. I want you to take a look at how Venus, you see Venus's orbit is around the sun, of course, there, but look how tight it is around the sun. See, Jupiter's orbit, it's much wider, right? So from our vantage point here on Earth, we can see Jupiter far away from the sun, almost opposite in the sky from the sun. But look at Venus. Venus is always going to hang around close to the sun from our vantage point, either in the morning skies or in the evening skies, never far away from the sun. So you won't see in the evening sky, Venus very far away on the opposite side of the sky, like we would with Jupiter. That's why these planets are like Venus and Mercury are the two inner planets that are closer to the sun than Earth. They always appear in our skies to be hanging around the sun, never far away. And they make it a little bit more of a challenge, especially with Mercury. Mercury, look at that. Mercury is like super close right now. Let me just zoom in. Look, it's pretty much, you can't see Mercury. This is why you can't see Mercury right now from Earth, because it's just so close, practically in conjunction with the sun right now. So that is the view that we have orbitally, but in our skies, this is what they look like. So I hope that explains and kind of shows to you the orientation of where all these objects are and why we see them in the sky where we do. So this is really beautiful. Hopefully you can check. Carolyn says, hoping to catch the sunset later this evening. I hope so. It's just magical to see a sun. And of course, being able to see planets nearby really puts things into perspective, I think. It's just one of those beautiful things to see. So yes, looking towards the west. Now, if we kind of magically kind of go ahead in time. And this is for Tuesday, March 22nd. But look at Wednesday. What I want you to see is look at Wednesday. The moon is going to be next to Jupiter. So Wednesday after sunset, Wednesday, March 22nd, mark this on your calendar, tomorrow night as of this broadcast, on Wednesday night, you'll see a thin sliver of the moon next to Jupiter. Now, this is going to be an observing challenge because of the glare, as you can see in this image here, the glare. Look at the glare of the sunset. It's going to make it a challenge to see this whisker-thin crescent moon. I mean, it's going to be really thin. And it's so thin, even in this planetarium view, you can see how extremely thin that crescent is. And my advice, folks, use binoculars or maybe perhaps a telescope if you have one handy, but binoculars will be just fine to catch that sliver of the moon. In fact, Jupiter will be easier to catch than the moon. I'll tell you that right now. So that's an observing challenge. See if you can spot it with the naked eye. You might have to wait for that magical little window sliver of time after sunset at dusk to see it before they bow out underneath the horizon there, very close to the horizon. But this is Wednesday, okay? And now if we jump to Thursday, the 23rd, look where the moon now bounces up higher into the sky, much easier to view. I would say Thursday night this week will be an easier time to catch the moon, not as big of a challenge, and absolutely beautiful because it's heading towards that super bright point of light planet Venus. Look at that. It'll just be a gorgeous sight, a lineup of these planets. There's Mercury way down there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but you could try. But definitely Jupiter and Venus, and then the moon is sandwiched between the two. By Friday, the moon will have popped over above the moon and even be a little bit closer. Depending on where you are on our planet, the orientation will be a little bit different, but that pairing of these two worlds will be there, readily evident wherever you are around the world. This is going to be just gorgeous. Now remember, I'm set at 45th degree latitude, about halfway between the equator and the North Pole. So that's why this view is as such. And the line, this magical line that cuts through all these planets, this is called the ecliptic. This is that line, that orbital. Remember, we looked at that orbital view and we could see all the planets kind of flat like a pancake with all the orbits, right, aligned. We're inside the solar system. We're part of the solar system. We're one of the planets that we're sitting on, orbiting the sun. And so that's why the planets kind of move along this imaginary pathway of the planets, this ecliptic that it's called. And so this is the view on Friday, the 24th. Thursday, the moon will be down here below Venus. And then by Friday night, the 24th of March, will be above Venus. And if we kind of go now a little bit darker at night, so say about an hour to 2 hours after sunset. This is 2 hours after sunset, Friday. You can see the sky is darkened. The stars come out in full force. As it gets dark enough, you'll see all those stars that make up the constellations. Venus and the moon will be close together, but there'll be another object you can see. If you're patient enough and you have the right sky conditions, you will be able to see with binoculars a green dot next to the moon Friday night. So while earlier on after sunset, while there's still dusk, you will have no chance to see this, but later on that green dot will pop into view if it gets dark enough. So be patient. That dark dot is in fact the planet Uranus. It is the sixth planet from the sun. I should say the seventh major planet from the sun, the seventh major planet. It's an ice giant because it's in a frozen section of the outer solar system. It's made mostly of methane, hydrogen, and helium. And it's a gas giant, but it's in a mostly frozen state, I would say. And Uranus will be coupled with that beautiful crescent moon, a great pairing of these two vastly different worlds. And they'll be easily seen. This is the view basically through a binocular. this is what you'll see, the pairing. So find that crescent moon, train your binoculars on it, and look for that green dot beside it. This is my observing challenge that I'm putting out to all of you guys out there. Try this out. Again, this is Friday night, March 24th. That's the night the two are together. And this is the best chance that you'll have of finding the planet Uranus. It's usually more difficult to find if you're not sure where to look and you're a newbie at skywatching. But Friday night, this is where the two will be. And the moon is a wonderful guidepost. It's a thin crescent moon, so it won't have that bright glare to it that'll blind you. If it was any fatter, the moon, more lit up than this, you'd have a challenge even seeing Uranus from that glare of the moon. But this green giant planet will be readily evident because it's just a thin crescent moon and just a gorgeous pairing for binoculars and, of course, through a telescope as well. This is something that can be seen too. It's possible. That this is something more like what you would see. Let me see if I can just get this organized so you can see where the two are. It's just beyond, I would say, what a telescope would do. If you were looking through a telescope, this is about the field of view, and you'd have to kind of move the telescope off to the darker side of the moon. Now, there is something else I want you to take a look at. Thursday, Friday. Check this out. Look at the darker side of the moon. Can you see the unlit? This is the unlit portion of the disk of the moon. Can you see that? Now, that is going to be visible, that unlit portion. I'm betting that you guys will be able to see that unlit portion of the moon, and that will be thanks, that visibility of the darker side. You see, you can clearly see this is lit up by the sun. But what about this part? Many of you have probably seen this before, but there's a name to this. Seeing that darker side of the moon here, the unlit portion, it's not lit up by the sun, that's called Earthshine. Earthshine. Exactly. And Carolyn has pointed it out, and it's just magnificent. This is a great opportunity to see that this week. So later this week, so we're talking Wednesday, Thursday, particularly Friday night, is seeing Earth shine. And what it is basically the sunlight, sunlight bouncing off of the clouds and the oceans of the Earth that are highly reflective, and that light bounces off and then shines onto the moon. And then that light is visible to us back again here on Earth. So I hope you understand that. So you're looking at basically the moon, the darker portion of the moon, not being lit up by the sun directly like the crescent is, but actually light from our glowing Earth. The Earth light radiating out into space, that light off of the highly reflective water, the ocean, that covers 2/3 of our planet, and all those bright white clouds, they are reflecting that sunlight back onto the moon. And that's what we can see. It's absolutely incredible. Earthshine is something that you can see, and just knowing why you can see it, it really puts things into perspective. And it's a really cool kind of phenomenon that you can see with it. So I invite you to look at that later this week. It's a lot of fun. So check that out. So here we are. That's Earthshine. And there's the moon next to Uranus. Again, this is Friday, March 24th. Now let's move forward in time to Saturday. And you can see by Saturday, another amazing event. This time, the crescent moon is a bit fatter, higher up in the sky. Again, this is the view about 2 hours after your local sunset. It will be pairing on Saturday night, March 25th, with the Pleiades star cluster. This is one of my favorite deep sky objects beyond the solar system. It's a clustering of stars, of young teenager stars. They're only about 100 million years old, this cluster of a few dozen stars huddled together. They were born at the same time, in the same place, in a cloud of gas and dust, we call a nebula, about 100 million years ago, and they're still huddled together, and they're slowly moving apart from each other over time. Our sun, just to put it into perspective, is 5 billion years old, right? 5,000 million years old, and this is 100 million years. So, it's a whole order of magnitude difference in age, and so they're young. They're young stars, and they will move apart over time. millions of years from now. So no human will ever see this, but millions of years it'll take the stars to move apart. But we're living in an epoch where we see them all clustered together. And it's just going to be a beautiful sight as it's paired with the moons this Saturday night. Interesting little fun fact is that this star cluster is ranked as one of the closest to our solar system at, get this, 444 light years away. 444 light years away is the distance of this star cluster. That means that the light has taken 440 years to reach our eye. So over nearly 4.5 centuries. Amazing to think. That's how long the light takes on its journey to get here. And while the moon next to it is so close, it's about 400,000 kilometers away, means that the light takes just over a second, 1.2 light seconds away is the moon. So you're looking back in time only a second when you're looking at the moon, while looking at the Pleiades cluster right next to it, you're looking back over 4 centuries in time. Mind-blowing stuff. The pair will be together. Great photo opportunity if you have a telescope to take a picture of the pair. This is what it will look like through binoculars. Just absolutely gorgeous together. 2 vastly different objects. And if you haven't seen the Pleiades, not sure where it is, the moon is going to act as your guidepost this Saturday, May 25th. So that's where the moon is on Saturday. By Sunday, the moon will have moved past the Pleiades and we'll be in kind of a line up with 2 stars here. Let me just mark them so I could show the names there. Capella, which is a very bright star in the constellation Auriga, and then Aldebaran, another orange, 2 kind of yellowy orange stars that the moon will be forming this line. You can see there's a fainter one over here, but I would say this would be the one that knocks your eyes out, Capella and Aldebaran, and the moon will be right in the middle. Aldebaran, remember, is the eye of Taurus the bull, Taurus constellation. And that's the eye of Taurus. Very evident, this star, easy to find, and then the moon will be sandwiched. And again, this is Sunday, so ending the week right there. Just a fantastic sight. I hope you guys get out to look at some of these things this week. And it's really all thanks to, of course, what are we talking about? The moon, right? I mean, this is a fantastic kind of guidepost to help us learn the sky. So we can see planets, we can see star clusters with it. We can use the moon and bright stars to orient ourselves and learn constellations across the sky. It does not get any better than this, folks. So I hope you get some clear skies this week. I'm still looking at my skies. Oh my gosh, I'm still clouded over. Probably will be the rest of today, but I'm hoping I'll experience some clear skies. Now, if you guys are interested in learning more about astronomy, I invite you to check out my book. It's a bestseller on Amazon. Thanks to you guys. I appreciate your support so much. My book, Backyard Guide to the Night Sky by National Geographic. This book is a small soft cover and covers everything about the night sky in terms of constellations, what to see, how to choose your instruments like binoculars and telescopes when you're ready to graduate. So, and it has ideas for projects to do with kids as well. And it explains accessories, everything about it. And I'm also selling these signed dedicated personal copies on my website, thenightskyguy.com. So I invite you to check that out. I'll put a link after the show for that. And if you're interested in something a little bit more beefier, try out my Stargazer's Atlas. It's 6.5 pounds. It's a large format coffee table book. So it's not the type that you take on a vacation with you necessarily. It's something that you'll curl up on your couch and learn about the hobby of astronomy and basically the connection humanity has had for thousands of years with astronomy, talking about archaeoastronomy, astronomy tourism, where you can travel in the world when you think about astronomy, dark skies, dark sky parks, things like that are included. And of course, all 88 constellations. At the heart of this book is a true atlas of every single constellation visible anywhere in the world, talking about its mythology, cultural connections across the world, and also the deep sky objects, the treasures you can find across the sky. Again, available wherever books are sold, and I also am selling signed edition, personally dedicated copies on my website if you're interested in that. Phew. So that's a lot of stuff going on. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, whether you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, wherever you are. Your support is much appreciated. That's what allows me to come into your homes every week and share my enthusiasm for the universe. And you can join me on exploring every week what you can see casually across the sky. You don't have to be a Neil deGrasse Tyson or a Stephen Hawking to really understand the night sky and appreciate it. We have all that natural curiosity. All you need is a little bit of clear skies and maybe a guide to help you. And that's what I'm here for every week. Thanks so much for your support. And until the next video, I wish all of you clear skies. Bye-bye.